Hey guys, Sindan here. This is going to be my chapter review to Nanatsu no Taizai, or the Seven Deadly Sins 326, Seven Deadly Sins versus the Demon King. And we start off with the cover page where we see Diane in a very, very tight-fitting dress saying she dances with beauty and strikes with ferocity. Sure, why not? I mean, yeah, we've seen her strike with ferocity. My ass have we seen her strike with ferocity. And then there's actually the left part of the this panel, this page, tells us that in order to cut off the supply of magic power from the lake, Diane invokes creation. Okay, so that was the reasoning behind her mother creation thing. It was to cut off his power from the lake. I mean, like, it would have been cool if we'd actually got that, the thought process and the motive before this chapter. Um, but apparently that's just the way it is, and I'm pretty sure there was some mention of her being queen somewhere here. um yeah, it says the giantess queen stands dignified. So just from this just from the first kind of the cover page, I'm having issues. And I don't, I mean, like, yeah, she's undoubtedly gonna be queen. She's probably the most well, she's definitely the most powerful giant in this universe, even though we've only ever seen really two others, I think, actually named, maybe three. So she's defo going to be queen, but I don't think that's actually been clarified. Like, the clan hasn't elected her in, unless it's not an election kind of thing. Maybe it's just they needed the the kind of blessing of Dolo, and that's why she's queen. But I was like, is there no other process? You know, is she just gonna be like, yeah, I'm queen because I'm powerful, and they're gonna be like, ah, yeah, cool. I mean, like, surely she needs to go there and meet the people and be like, yeah, I'm your queen now, or I want to be queen. There needs to be some sort of process, right? Maybe I'm overthinking this. Anyway, we then go to the Demon King versus the Sins, and he's like, what the heck's mother creation? Everyone's there like, yo, the heck's mother creation. And we see Diane's booty. I'm like, come on, man. It's a weird perspective. I mean, like, I get it. Like, Fairy Tale would do something like this, but this is Taizai, man. You're supposed to stand up, or you're supposed to be a different kind of manga to Fairy Tale. Fairy Tale was, quite frankly, by the end of it, trash. And, Nakaba didn't have to follow suit, but he did. And we just get a booty shot here, and I'm like, this is Diane's big moment. Give her something to, we don't have to be focusing on her ass to understand that this is gonna be Diane's defining and possibly last thing she's gonna do. So, I'm not sure how much I agree with, Nakaba's taste there. But once again, we carry on. Anyway, we see from the perspective of the lake. We see everybody in the lake, and then we see cracks forming in the kind of hills and the mountains around the lake. And I was like, ooh, this looks kind of nice. And then we zoom out again, and we see all these cracks splitting the country apart. And we're like, oh shit, this looks real nice. Like, whatever Diane's doing, she's about to do some crazy shit. And then we see from, like, probably, I'm not sure how large it is, but they're on this, like, plateau essentially, where it's fine, and it's not been affected. But everywhere else around this lake, and this goes for hundreds of miles. Like, these guys are minuscule when you're looking at the perspective. Everything has been completely just broken apart. It's like Chisaki from My Hero Academia touched, well, actually, it's not even Chisaki. This looks like freaking Shigaraki touched the ground and just decayed fucking everything. It looks insane, and there's rocks all over the place flying in the air. Whatever freaking Diane's doing here, it looks awesome. She spins Gideon. She starts, like, throwing rocks at the Demon King. I'm like, really? You're gonna throw? Like, is this how we're gonna take out the Demon King? We're gonna start throwing rocks at the guy? I mean, like, not the first choice I would have gone for, but this is Diane on some good shit. Maybe she has something up her sleeve. So 4 rocks go flying towards the Demon King. He kind of rephrases what I said, and he's like, "You really think throwing some rocks at me is gonna do shit? Like, you?" But then some rocks hit him in the back, and apparently that was enough to just be like to knock him off guard. And then he's getting assaulted by all these rocks in what essentially is, well, as soon as I saw all these rocks hitting him and lifting him off his feet and away from the lake, I thought, yo, shit, she's basically just putting him in a Chibaku Tensei, right? If you don't know what Chibaku Tensei is, go search Chibaku Tensei. You'll learn all about it quite quickly. But she's essentially just Chibaku Tenseiing him, hoping he doesn't break out of his Jinchuriki. And she gives this really shit kind of speech all the way through this. And this chapter, by the way, I'm gonna say it right here, right now. It was cringy. It was bad. Like, there were parts of it where I was just like, "Yo, this is kind of cool." Like the first part where we see her using Mother Creation, and then the last part, which I'll come to. But a lot of it was just cringe. A lot of it was stupid. A lot of it was pure disrespect in terms of who they're fighting. And the Demon King. The Demon King is becoming more and more of a bad villain as the chapters go by. Even though I didn't think it could get worse, and it is. So he's getting Chibaku Tensei. She's there saying, "I used to be," because he calls her a little giantess girl, and she's like, "You know what? I used to be a little giantess girl, but now I'm not. Let it go." All that shit, and I'm just like, oh Jesus, come on, man! Like, you don't gotta do this, Nakaba. Like, we know her story. She's lost her memory 50 times, and we've regained her memory 50 times. We've heard this story so many times. Please, God, just don't go through it again. And so the Demon King kind of figures out. He's like, he understands that Diane's trying to tear him away from the lake, so he doesn't get that endless supply of magic. Even though, as the Demon King in his most powerful form, he doesn't really need an endless supply of magic, right? His own capacity should be almost sky high. Like, I understand he's still going to be wasting magic, so it's good to have that infinite amount, but his own store should be quite large. So he then uses his own force powers, because apparently he has those, and starts to push the rocks back towards Diane. And actually, just a quick point here. I thought the ruler allowed the Demon King to kind of it allows him to, any attack which inflicts damage upon him, to kind of reverse that, and it will strengthen him instead of take away from him or damage him. But it wasn't just magic-based attacks. I thought it was physical attacks as well. So I'm not sure why he isn't activating the ruler. Maybe there's something I'm missing here. So let me know if I've actually missed out on something. But surely you should be able to use the ruler here. Anyway, Diane's getting assaulted with her own rocks. She does a little bit of dancing and skipping, and then throws those rocks back at the Demon King. And while she's doing this, she almost strikes the Heisman pose, actually. But she's there once again, chatting some straight cringy shit. She's like, 7 deadly sins, Elizabeth, Elaine, Hawk, and the person who continued to protect me all this time, King. It's because they were here for me that I was able to change. And I'm just like, oh shit, please don't. Why do we need this? Like, this is gonna sound like I'm just trashing on the chapter, because technically I am, but why did we need any of this? Like, we don't need this feel good, Diane talking about how strong she's grown, how much she's changed. Just you're fighting against the Demon King. Like, this is wartime, man. You're in the middle of battle. That's not shit you say. And like, I understand it's a manga, but this is the 7 deadly sins. It's not been like this before, and it just feels really forced. It feels farcical, which is what the Demon King thinks as well, and I don't like it. So he's there like, yo, you think that's your reason for thinking you could defeat me, like, just because you've changed or some shit? I don't even know who you are. And this is where Elizabeth and Meliodas thought, hey, we gotta say some cringy shit too. So Elizabeth's like, your eyes have gone bad, Demon King. And she's like, Diane's she says, Diane's the kind of girl that will worry about others regardless of what might happen to herself. Cool. And then Meliodas is there with a like cheeky grin saying, there's nothing scarier than pissing off that kind of person. And I was like, yeah, there is. The freaking Demon King, like, he should be that guy, right? It shouldn't matter whether he knows who she is or anything like that. Diane should not be doing jack shit to the Demon King. None of these guys should be doing anything to the Demon King apart from Meliodas and maybe the One, but the One shouldn't even really be doing anything to the Demon King at the capacity that he's reached right now. So we see Diane again. She's sweating buckets. It's good to know that she's actually struggling here to maintain this level of power. She mentions that she's the queen of the Giant Clan again. She's been entrusted to handle her brethren by her master Droll, or Dolo, or Balor, whichever name he chooses to go by. Maybe one for each arm. And this was the cringe moment of the chapter. But she's like, you know what? The future of my brethren, the fact that Dolo entrusted this future upon me, these aren't the biggest reasons for why I can't lose. My biggest dream is to be kings. And then she gets like, I don't know, she suddenly has a diarrhea attack or something, and she can't finish the sentence. Or maybe she's just too embarrassed because she realized how cringy this sounds. And Barnes is there like, oh, dude, you can't let her say like all this shit. You gotta step in and say something. So King's there. in the middle of a fight between friggin' the Sins and the Demon King. He there clears his throat, he's blushing. And while Diane's still like buffeting the Demon King with all these rocks and shit, he's there and he just proposes. He's like, Diane, after we defeat the Demon King, as soon as he possibly can, let's get married. And I was like, Pirates of the Caribbean? Is this you? This is basically when Elizabeth and what is it? His name is Turner, William Turner, where they propose and Barbossa's just kind of marrying them off while fighting. But I'm like, that's Pirates of the Caribbean. That's allowed to do that shit. That's like, I love Pirates of the Caribbean, so I'm not gonna trash Pirates of the Caribbean. But that's allowed to do that shit, right? That's allowed to be cringy as shit. This is Taizai. Like, what do you do? This is number one bullshit. So I was like, nah, this is insanely bad writing. Diane just blushes. She's going like she's really going red and all that shit. And while she's blushing, she just kind of pushes all these rocks towards the Demon King and propels him away from the lake. I'm like, they're not even trying. These guys are having conversations. They're out there they got a barbecue out, throwing burgers and shit all on top. And I'm just like, the Demon King is being made to look so bad here, and Diane is actually just like one-handing this dude, and he can't even like force attack her shit back. She's attacking him with these like mosquito-sized rocks, and he's nothing to them. He's not a threat. These guys are proposing. They're having kids. The Sins is just watching Diane do this shit, and apparently she's able to do this shit just because, I can't. So the Demon King's there like, yo, shit, like, she's knocked me hard. She's knocked me so hard that she's knocked me into like another plane of existence. He doesn't even know where he is. And the Sins are just like, once again, a very cringy line. He's like, I don't know where I am. Meliodas is just like, it's a grave. Yours, in fact. And I was like, okay, cool, man. Like, it's just cringe deluxe, man. So we actually get a nice double spread here where it's like, now it's time for the 7 Deadly Sins official mission to begin, or the mission to officially begin, and that mission is to subjugate the Demon King. And I was like, you know what? It's nice to know that even Nakaba's acknowledging here that, what we've had so far hasn't really been dealing with the Demon King. We've just kind of been messing around, a bit of foreplay. We've just been messing around with this psychotic, tyrannical, who's meant to be like omnipowerful, if that's even a word, omnipotent maybe. We've just been toying with him, essentially. Now the real mission can begin, at our leisure. Whenever we say we want the mission to begin, that's when it's going to begin. Because, you ain't really got to say in it, Demon King. You're not powerful enough to really push us to have to force our hand into when we want to start our mission. I'm like, this is number one, once again, bullshit. But what I did notice here, and maybe I should have done a live review to this chapter, was that Escanor, he's beginning to flame up. You can see on his right trapezius, that he's beginning to, like, the flames of his magic are beginning to envelop him, and that's usually a signifier of the fact that it's about to reach high noon. So then we get an awesome single panel. This is probably the best drawing of the chapter, of just the Demon King looking at the 7 Deadly Sins like he really, really wants to shove his sword right up their ass. And I'm just like, you do that, dude. Like, that would be a change. Anyway, Meliodas tells us what's going down. He's like, we've completely cut you off from the supply of the magic from the lake. You won't be able to replenish your power anymore, all that good shit. So we see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 essentially spires holding up this giant platform, which is where the Demon King has been propelled on top of, and then below that is the lake. Once again, I have my same complaints from the previous chapter, which is, the lake shouldn't have been an issue. If it was infinitely supplying the Demon King or resupplying him with magic, then surely it should have been doing the same for the Sins. So really it cancels out. That's Bidmas or whatever you guys did in America. I think you did like POMDAS or some shit. That's how that works, right? So we then see this was probably one of the epic parts of the chapter as well, which is we just see this flaming hand with a flaming finger pointing upwards towards the Demon King, and it's just like, and just as of now, there's one more piece of bad news that's been added to your situation. The Demon King's like, who the hell is this guy? And we then see Escanor with his eyes aflame, his mustache aflame, and I knew exactly. I didn't even need to read this page. I read it. I knew exactly what he was gonna say on page 16. I was like, he's gonna say it's high noon. Like it's McCree all over again. It's high noon, and I knew it was gonna happen. But when I saw Escanor with his black bubble and he's there like, it's high noon, I'm not gonna lie, I was hyped. Like, I understand the one technically shouldn't really be able to hurt the Demon King so much, And there's going to be a lot of, power scaling issues these coming chapters, but I was hyped when I saw Escanor say it's high noon, and I know he's going to be the one. I was really hyped. But this has been a long ass review, I think. But yeah, so I'm still of the mindset that this was a pretty shitty chapter, not going to lie. On a scale of 1 to 10, it was pretty bad. But yeah, I mean, Nakaba at his finest in terms of just pure bullshit. This chapter was quite poor. The whole Diane thing, her power, the scale of it at the beginning was awesome. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really cool to see. But the fact that she's able to do this to the Demon King, especially with the ruler, but also just because of his base freaking power, he shouldn't really be having any issue. His base speed as well. He should not be having an issue with anyone there apart from maybe, apart from Meliodas, really. I mean, he could even body bag Merlin at this point. And the fact that like they're making it seem like the one is going to be some big trump card when they've been bodying the Demon King anyway. Like, it's not like they've been having difficulty. The one's not going to really make much of a difference. I'd understand if they were having issues and then the one popped up, they're like, yeah, trump card, woo. But it's not going to make much of a difference because they weren't having issues. And the fact that the Demon King, they can't just willy-nilly kick his ass and kill him because they're still waiting for Zeldris to complete his kind of turn of events within his own psyche and come out victorious and back in control of his body, eject the Demon King. So really, there's no point to the one apart from the fact that he's probably just going to kick the shit out of the Demon King without killing him, and he really shouldn't be able to unless he's being helped by Meliodas in like Demon King form. So I don't know what's going down with this chapter. I don't know what's going down with this manga anymore. Let me know what you guys thought of it. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I'll see you guys in a bit.